Have you ever stopped to think about how fear complicates our lives? We hold on to worries, create scenarios that never come true, and get trapped in a spiral of anxiety. But what if I told you that happiness is closer than you think? What if, instead of overcomplicating things, we learn to see them with clarity and free ourselves from fear? Today, I want to share with you some hard truths that, though difficult to accept, are essential for living without complications. These Buddhist teachings challenge us to confront our fears, let go of what weighs us down, and discover that true happiness arises when we stop resisting life. If you've been searching for the secret to a simpler, more fulfilling life, you're in the right place. These truths may not be easy, but I promise that once you understand them, they will change the way you see the world. Are you ready to face your fears? The first truth is, fear is a mental construct. Fear is an emotion we all experience at some point in our lives, but according to Buddhist teachings, fear isn't a solid or permanent reality. It is a creation of the mind, a projection born from our expectations, beliefs, and desires for the future. Initial hook, 200 words. Have you ever stopped to think about how fear complicates our lives? We hold on to worries, create scenarios that never actually happen, and get stuck in a spiral of anxiety. But what if I told you that happiness is closer than you think? What if, instead of complicating everything, we learn to see things with clarity and free ourselves from fear? Today, we're going to dive into some hard-to-accept but necessary truths for living a simpler, more peaceful life. These Buddhist teachings challenge us to confront our fears, let go of what weighs us down, and discover that true happiness comes when we stop resisting life. If you've been searching for the secret to a life that is free of unnecessary struggles and filled with genuine peace, you're in the right place. These truths may not be easy to embrace, but once you understand them, they'll completely change how you view the world. Are you ready to face your fears and learn how to live without the burden of mental and emotional complications? Let's start with the first truth: fear is not what you think it is. It's a mental construction that only exists because we allow it to. Let's explore this further. 1. Fear, a mental construction that has no real existence, expanded, 300 words. Fear, at its core, is a creation of the mind. While it feels real in the moment, fear itself doesn't have a tangible or permanent existence. Instead, fear is born from our thoughts, projections, and expectations. It's not something that exists in the world around us, it's something we generate within ourselves. When we experience fear, it usually stems from our thoughts about something that hasn't even happened yet. We anticipate negative outcomes, and the mind starts creating scenarios filled with danger or disaster. In the end, these are simply mental projections, often rooted in our insecurities and desires to control what is outside our control. Buddhism teaches us that fear is like a mirage or a shadow, a fleeting and shifting thing that appears real until we look closely. Once we understand that fear is simply a mental reaction, we can begin to break free from its grip. It has no solid, external foundation, it's just the mind's interpretation of a future we fear. This understanding is liberating. It opens the door to realizing that fear is not a force beyond our control. We can learn to disengage from it by understanding its transient nature and choosing not to give it power. Just like a shadow disappears when the light changes, fear dissolves when we bring awareness to it. 2. The mind creates illusions of danger through projections of fear, expanded, 300 words. One of the most insidious aspects of fear is how the mind creates illusions of danger. Our thoughts, which are often influenced by past experiences or anticipated future outcomes, project these mental images of worst-case scenarios. We may imagine losing our job, being rejected by others, or facing an unexpected catastrophe, none of which have occurred yet. The mind's tendency to imagine danger is a defense mechanism, an effort to prepare for potential threats. However, more often than not, these projections are not grounded in reality. They are just fabrications of our imagination, based on fears of the unknown. In Buddhism, we are taught to see these mental projections for what they are: illusions. When we stop feeding into the stories our mind creates, the danger starts to dissipate. What seemed like a looming threat becomes a passing thought that has no real power over us. A classic example is when we walk in an unfamiliar place at night and see what appears to be a dark shape in the distance. Our mind may automatically associate that shape with something dangerous, like a person or an animal. But as we get closer, we realize it's just a tree branch or a pile of leaves. The illusion vanishes when we confront it with clarity. When we understand that the mind often distorts reality, we gain the ability to separate facts from fear-based assumptions. This helps us stay grounded in the present moment, where danger is often far less immediate than our minds would have us believe. 3. Fear arises from attachment and the desire to control the uncontrollable, expanded, 300 words. Fear is not just a random emotion, it often arises from deep-seated attachments and the overwhelming desire to control what cannot be controlled. In Buddhism, attachment is seen as one of the main causes of suffering. We cling to outcomes, situations, or even people, hoping to shape the world around us to fit our desires. This attachment to the way we want things to be creates an intense inner struggle when life inevitably refuses to comply with our expectations. For example, many of us fear losing a job or a relationship because we have attached our sense of security and self-worth to these external factors. We fear the unknown, the uncertainty that comes with not knowing what will happen next. The desire to control the future, to make everything fit neatly into our plans, fuels our anxiety and heightens our fear. But in reality, the future is beyond our control. The more we try to control everything, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment and suffering. The world is impermanent, and our attachment to it is what causes much of our stress and fear. We fear what we cannot hold on to, and this fear clouds our ability to live freely. Buddhism teaches us to release our attachment and embrace the natural flow of life. By acknowledging that we cannot control everything, we allow ourselves to live with less fear. When we stop holding on to expectations and controlling the uncontrollable, we begin to accept life as it comes, with all its uncertainties and impermanence. This acceptance is liberating, as it frees us from the fear that arises from the illusion of control. 4. The solution to fear is not to fight it, but to understand its illusory nature, expanded, 300 words. When we experience fear, our natural instinct might be to resist it, to fight against it. We may try to push the fearful thoughts aside, hoping they will disappear on their own. However, this often makes the fear feel even more intense and overwhelming. In reality, fighting against fear only strengthens its grip, keeping us locked in a cycle of anxiety. Buddhism teaches a different approach. Instead of resisting fear, we are encouraged to understand it. By recognizing that fear is not an external force, but rather a creation of the mind, we can begin to disempower it. When we understand the true nature of fear, we stop giving it the power to control our emotions and actions. Fear thrives on ignorance. It grows in the darkness of unexamined thoughts and assumptions. However, when we shine the light of awareness on it, we can see that fear is often based on projections, misunderstandings, or past experiences that no longer serve us. Fear cannot survive in the presence of clarity and understanding. Through practices like meditation and mindfulness, we can cultivate the ability to observe fear without becoming consumed by it. Rather than fighting it, we simply observe it, acknowledging its presence and letting it pass without reacting to it. Just like clouds that pass through the sky, fear can come and go without leaving a lasting impact. The more we practice this awareness, the less power fear holds over us. By seeing fear for what it truly is, a temporary and ungrounded emotion, we can let it go and allow ourselves to live with greater peace and freedom. 1. The practice of meditation helps deactivate the cycle of fear and anxiety, expanded, 300 words. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for breaking the cycle of fear and anxiety. At its core, meditation trains the mind to observe thoughts without attachment or judgment, creating a space between stimulus and response. When we meditate, we cultivate mindfulness, which allows us to become more aware of our thoughts and emotions, including fear. Instead of reacting impulsively to these emotions, we learn to pause and create a sense of distance from them. When fear and anxiety arise, they often take over, pulling us into a storm of negative thoughts and projections about the future. This whirlwind of worry only amplifies our sense of fear, keeping us trapped in a constant state of distress. However, through meditation, we develop the ability to observe these thoughts without getting caught up in them. We can witness fear as it arises and simply acknowledge it for what it is, a passing thought or feeling, without letting it dictate our actions. Mindfulness meditation, in particular, helps us break free from the cycle of fear by anchoring us in the present moment. Instead of worrying about what might happen in the future or dwelling on past fears, meditation teaches us to focus on our breath, our body, or the sounds around us. This practice of being fully present allows the mind to settle and creates a sense of calm, reducing the intensity of fear and anxiety. Over time, meditation helps us rewire the brain to respond to fear with greater equanimity. Rather than reacting with panic, we learn to respond with clarity, compassion, and awareness. As we consistently practice, we become less susceptible to fear and more resilient in the face of uncertainty. 2. Detachment allows us to accept impermanence and live with less stress. Expanded, 300 words. Detachment, in the Buddhist sense, is not about withdrawing from life or becoming indifferent to the world around us. Instead, it is the practice of releasing our attachment to outcomes, expectations, and material possessions. When we become overly attached to something, whether it be a relationship, a job, or a certain way of life, we set ourselves up for stress, disappointment, and suffering. The reason for this is simple: everything in life is impermanent. People, circumstances, and experiences come and go, and holding on too tightly creates friction with the natural flow of life. By practicing detachment, we begin to accept the impermanence of all things. We recognize that nothing remains the same forever, and this acceptance frees us from the stress that comes with resisting change. For example, if we are deeply attached to a particular outcome, we may experience anxiety when things don't go as planned. However, by practicing detachment, we learn to embrace uncertainty and go with the flow, trusting that life will unfold as it should. This does not mean we stop caring about people or goals. It simply means that we no longer place our happiness and peace on the condition that things must go a certain way. Detachment allows us to engage with life fully, but without the pressure of needing to control every aspect of it. We can still pursue our dreams and care for others, but without clinging to the outcomes. When we detach from the need to control everything, we experience a profound sense of freedom. We are no longer bound by the fear of losing what we hold dear. Instead, we can live in a state of equanimity, fully present in the moment and at peace with whatever comes our way. 3. Accepting that everything changes frees us from the suffering created by the desire for control. Expanded, 300 words. One of the most liberating teachings in Buddhism is the recognition that everything changes. Life is in a constant state of flux, and resisting this change is one of the primary causes of suffering. When we try to control situations, people, or outcomes, we are essentially fighting against the natural flow of life. This desire for control stems from fear, the fear of the unknown, the fear of loss, and the fear of uncertainty. However, when we come to terms with the fact that change is inevitable, we free ourselves from the suffering caused by trying to hold on to things that are transient. The Buddha taught that clinging to things, whether it's a relationship, a job, or even an idea of how life should be, is the root cause of suffering. When we learn to accept that everything is in a state of constant change, we stop resisting life's natural rhythms and begin to live in harmony with them. This acceptance of impermanence doesn't mean we become passive or apathetic. Instead, it means we develop a deeper understanding of the nature of existence and learn to approach life with an open heart. When we stop trying to control every outcome, we become more flexible and adaptable, which reduces stress and anxiety. We start to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to our comfort. Moreover, when we accept that everything changes, we also come to appreciate the fleeting beauty of each moment. We become more present in our lives, savoring the good times without clinging to them, and accepting the difficult times without resisting them. This mindset leads to greater peace, as we no longer need to fight against the inevitability of change. Instead, we embrace it with acceptance and grace. 4. The present is the only place where we find peace and true happiness. Expanded, 300 words. In a world filled with distractions and constant demands, it can be difficult to stay focused on the present moment. We often find ourselves lost in thoughts about the past or worrying about the future. However, true peace and happiness can only be found in the present. This is one of the core teachings of Buddhism. The present moment is where life happens, and it is the only space where we can experience true peace. When we dwell on the past, we are often filled with regret, guilt, or resentment. We might replay old conversations, relive painful memories, or wish we had done things differently. These thoughts only keep us trapped in a cycle of suffering, preventing us from experiencing the joy that exists in the now. On the other hand, when we constantly worry about the future, we create unnecessary anxiety. We think about what could go wrong, about the unknown, and about things that haven't even happened yet. This constant projection into the future causes us to miss out on the beauty and serenity of the present moment. The future is uncertain, and no amount of worrying will change that. By practicing mindfulness and living in the present, we can fully experience the richness of life as it is. We learn to appreciate the simple pleasures of the moment, the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds chirping, or the taste of our food. True happiness is not something we will find in the past or in the future. It is only available in the here and now. When we accept the present as the only true reality, we stop seeking happiness in external circumstances. We understand that happiness is not something we need to chase. It's something we can experience in the present moment, simply by being aware and appreciating what is right in front of us. 1. Letting go of the past and the future allows us to live fully in the now. Expanded, 300 words. The past and the future are often sources of stress and distraction. The past can weigh heavily on us with regret, guilt, or nostalgia, while the future brings anxiety and fear of the unknown. When we constantly fixate on either, we miss the richness of the present moment. Letting go of these attachments, whether they're to past mistakes or future worries, frees us from the mental burdens that prevent us from fully experiencing life as it is. Living in the present moment means letting go of the constant need to relive the past or plan the future. It's about surrendering the belief that we can control every aspect of our lives or undo what has already happened. Once we realize that the only moment that truly exists is the one we are experiencing right now, we can begin to embrace the joy and peace that come with it. When we stop carrying the weight of past regrets and future worries, we open ourselves up to the beauty of the now. We become more mindful of our surroundings, more connected to the people around us, and more in tune with our own thoughts and emotions. Living in the present allows us to experience life without the filter of past traumas or future anxieties. This mindfulness brings a deep sense of freedom because we are no longer chained to things beyond our control. By letting go of the past and the future, we can engage with life in a more authentic and grounded way. We begin to realize that the present is where all of life's opportunities, experiences, and pleasures lie, and it is in this space that we can fully grow, connect, and thrive. 2. Life constantly flows, and it is only in the present where we experience gratitude. Expanded, 300 words. Life is a constant flow of moments, never static and always moving forward. It is this fluidity of life that allows us to experience new opportunities, lessons, and growth. However, to truly experience gratitude, we must be fully present in the current moment. Gratitude cannot be found in the past, nor can it be projected into the future. It is only in the present that we can truly appreciate what we have. When we spend our time dwelling on what we have lost or worrying about what is to come, we fail to recognize the blessings in our lives right now. Gratitude is born from mindfulness, from noticing the simple pleasures that life offers in each moment. Whether it's the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, or the taste of a meal, gratitude arises when we are fully present and aware. The constant flow of life reminds us that everything is temporary, and this impermanence makes the present moment even more precious. As we learn to appreciate what is right in front of us, we develop a deeper sense of gratitude for both the good and the challenging moments. Without the distractions of the past or the future, we can see the beauty and value of what we have, even in the most ordinary situations. When we practice living in the present, we cultivate a mindset of gratitude that doesn't depend on external circumstances or outcomes. We begin to see that there is always something to be grateful for, no matter what our situation may be. In this way, life's flow becomes not something to resist, but something to appreciate and embrace, knowing that each moment is a gift. 3. Living in the present allows us to transform and make conscious decisions. Expanded, 300 words. When we live in the present moment, we give ourselves the power to transform. Transformation happens not in the past, which is already gone, nor in the future, which is uncertain, but in the now. The present moment is the only place where change can occur, where decisions can be made, and where new possibilities arise. By being fully present, we become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. This awareness is the first step toward personal transformation. When we are not preoccupied with the past or the future, we can observe our current actions and reactions, enabling us to make choices that align with our values and goals. This conscious awareness allows us to break free from habitual patterns and reactions that no longer serve us. Living in the present also gives us the freedom to make decisions with clarity and purpose. Instead of being driven by fear or anxiety about what might happen, we can respond thoughtfully to the situations in front of us. This ability to act from a place of mindfulness empowers us to create the life we want, rather than reacting impulsively to external pressures or internal anxieties. Moreover, transformation in the present is not about seeking perfection, but about embracing growth. When we live in the moment, we allow ourselves the space to make mistakes, learn, and adjust. This ongoing process of growth and self-awareness enables us to create lasting change, both within ourselves and in our lives. The present moment holds infinite potential for transformation, as it is here that we can decide to act differently, think differently, and be different. By grounding ourselves in the present, we can shape the future we desire, one conscious decision at a time. 4. True peace is not found in control, but in letting go and accepting reality as it is. Expanded, 300 words. One of the greatest illusions we face in life is the belief that peace can be attained through control. We often think that if we can just control our environment, our relationships, or our circumstances, we will be at peace. However, this desire for control is often rooted in fear, the fear of uncertainty, discomfort, or loss. In reality, the true source of peace lies not in controlling everything around us, but in letting go and accepting things as they are. When we try to control life, we are constantly fighting against its natural flow. We attempt to shape everything according to our desires and expectations, which only leads to frustration and stress. The more we try to control, the more we resist the natural course of events. This resistance is the root of much of our suffering. True peace, however, is found in acceptance. When we let go of the need to control, we surrender to the present moment, embracing it fully without judgment or resistance. This doesn't mean we stop taking action or striving for improvement, it means we stop fighting against what is. We stop trying to force life into a box of our own making and instead allow it to unfold naturally. When we accept reality as it is, we find freedom. We are no longer bound by the expectations and desires that once controlled us. Instead, we cultivate a sense of inner peace, knowing that we are at peace with the ebb and flow of life. We trust that, even in the face of uncertainty, everything will unfold as it is meant to. This acceptance creates a deep sense of calm, allowing us to move through life with greater ease and grace. True peace comes from within, from the ability to let go and trust in the present moment. As we wrap up, remember that life is not about chasing after control or perfection. It's about embracing the present moment, letting go of fear, and accepting the natural flow of life as it unfolds. By practicing mindfulness and understanding that peace comes from within, we free ourselves from the struggles that hold us back from true happiness. If you found this message meaningful, know that you're not alone on this journey. We all face challenges, and we all have the power to transform our relationship with life. Take a moment today to pause, breathe, and reconnect with the present. Trust that the simplicity and peace you're seeking are already within you. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and how these teachings are impacting your life. And if you want to dive deeper into these ideas and learn more about living a life free from unnecessary complications, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching, and remember, the path to peace starts with one step in the present. Let's take it together.